Welcome, guys. Welcome back to this channel. And as you know, we are working towards the skill development for in the newcomers. Newcomers means the people who have recently moved to information technology area, or who want to build their career in like DevOps, cloud, data engineering, data analytics, and mainly in the AI/ML side. So we have multiple videos on those fronts. But if you are really interested to work on real world projects, mainly the real world US based projects, US based companies, and you want to apply your learnings. So the challenge in this current world is you learn many things, but when it comes to applying those knowledges, you will get very less opportunities. Otherwise, uh, in a company where you work, there is no two three DevOps engineers. So if you want to apply your DevOps knowledge, you need to jump onto the other company where you don't get there is no guarantee that you will get the real world. But here, what we do is we have many resources who are working on the live projects, and then you will be helping them, and you will be like a providing support to them, and you will be doing some 70% work in their job, so that slide by side you will be learning how to manage any DevOps environment. That's something very critical, and that's something very important once you learn something. So this course, basically this course with the training course, and then followed by uh, the experience, we call them as a real world experience, and you will get paid for that. It's not something that you will not get paid for that. You will get the scholarship for that one. Because it's a child, it's a foundation that we are working on. And the good thing about this foundation and this project is that once we are done with this training. Like for example, DevOps training will take 3 weeks, uh, maybe 5 weeks. Normally it takes 5 weeks. So once done with those trainings, you will be immediately pushed to the project work. Project work means every day, maybe 3 hours, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 to 4 hours every day you need to work. But that will be in the US timing, maybe 6:30 to, or in late 9:30 to 1:30 or 2 o'clock. You need to work, but it will be maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year. It depends on your liking, so that you want to explore, you want to learn everything, and you want to deploy something, you want to apply your knowledge on those things. So that will be the add-on thing along with your main job, or wherever your job you search for new role. So that is the plan. It's not some simple training, but along with the training there is a job also. So it's uh, it's a paid job. It's not a free job. It's just a paid job. But you need to make sure that you are providing support to those guys, or you are taking ownership of some task. So we'll provide you, training, and this real world project works in a way like after once you finish the training, you will be part of one project, and that project initially your ownership will be 20 to 30%, but that ownership will increase gradually once you get comfortable with the technologies, or with the environment, basically. So some projects are very long term projects, and some projects are the small projects. So once you're done with the project, you will get a new project, and that things will go on. Anyway, so but this is under our you know there's a this is the charity foundation. This is Section 8 company, so there is no uh, like a profit, like a salary, or nothing like that. But it's a way to apply your knowledge. So don't wait for 6 months to 1 year to apply your knowledge. You learn something and apply your knowledge immediately, and you get paid for that. And we have a scholarship program also. If you are continue with us for more 1 month or 2 months, so we'll get paid for that one. So those things we will talk about that. But important thing is that people who are new to this Azure world, or DevOps world, or a cloud world, or the data, the AI ML world, they learn something. It's not something that they don't learn, and they finish the training. But after finishing the training, the big question is how to apply that knowledge. And in order to do that, you need to crack uh, very tough interviews and those things. So even though if you are new to this one, they are asking some experienced question. So how to get those answers, or how to create your own stories that you worked on this one. So this step, here you don't need to appear for any interview. You just need to work on the project for 6 months to 1 year. And in between, if you are once you learn and once you are comfortable, you can attend the interview, other interviews with the confidence that you have been doing something. So every day, it's not something you are totally in training area, training mode, and you are getting into the in the job mode. So in between, there is a practice mode. So that's where this one will fill that gap. Okay. Anyway, if you are really interested, please ping me. I will guide you with the process. But remember, guys, there is a registration fees. You need to, adhere the guidelines and the rules and regulations for Section 8 companies. I will talk about that. You just give me a call and we will discuss about that. Okay. So, what is Azure Pipeline? So there is no wire. They are not saying Azure wire. They are saying pipeline. Pipeline means there is no only two end, but in between we can take the water. So pipe is something like this only. Like when you say pipe, the corporation pipe or uh, any pipe, basically the gas pipeline or whenever you see pipeline, in between that, people are taking that gas out or sometimes injecting the gas. So there is in and out situations that are there in a pipeline. That's what we call it a pipeline. Otherwise, we call it a wire. See, in wire, there is no, in between something. So wire is end to end. Either input on the left hand side, it will get input, and the right hand side it will get output. So that's the difference. Anyway, so first is the CI pipeline. What do you mean by CI? Integration. It's just integration. Integration of your services, integration of your version control, where you will be doing a lot of automation. Automation means as soon as the code change, it should get triggered. CI pipeline integration. Integrating your version control where the code is, that kind of automation to pull the code, and as and when the change happens, again pull the code. Then merging, merging means again, multiple branches you want to merge with the main branch. That is also part of the CI thing. The merging with the different, you know, different parts, merging different codes, maybe from different, uh, the future line, the future. So whenever you see the main line, the main delivery line, there is a branches also there. So how to merge those branches in the main line, that is also part of your continuous integration, and then you are followed by the testing the code. So why we are calling it a CI and CD separate thing? There is a reason for that. We'll talk about that. So CI basically help to catch bugs early in the development cycle. Means it is very limited to specific to CI, development life cycle. Basically the development part, which makes them less expensive to fix. Automated testing executes as a part of the CI process. So coding people or the developer will write the code and then will build the code, and then there is a testing phase. So in the testing, if there is a problem, then again it will go back to the coding people. Again they will modify, and again it will come back to you. As soon as there is a change, that CI will execute as a part of automation, and then again it will come back to the build and then again testing. So that process, the CI, coding, build, test, again coding. So that is a part of CI, the integration. Automated test executes as a part of CI process to ensure quality. CI system produce artifacts. That's very important to understand what do you mean by artifact. So people say artifact means some code. No, it is not the code. Artifact means the product. Artifact means the software or the package that you want to deploy somewhere. After the testing, it will create the uh, artifact. The CI system produces artifact and feed them to release process to drive frequent deployment. That's the deployment part. Now, up to this point, we I don't think we need a set delivery part. So integration people mean as a part of integration, what we are doing is we are making sure that code is proper and testing of the testing, after build and testing if there is any problem, again the testing team will go back to the coding team will do the modification, and again it will come back to the testing team, and once the test is done, it will create the artifact, and the release process will start, the process to drive the frequent deployment, and then the artifact will get deployed. So why we need again the delivery process? So let's see why we need that. So the continuous delivery is a process by which a code is built, tested, and deployed to one or more test and production environment. So CI is mainly focused. See, they don't want to, ask someone to perform everything. Otherwise, CI can do everything. CID, we can say CIND or CICD. There is no slash in that. So CI process can do everything, but that is not a good way to manage. Because again, we are working in very decoupled architecture. Why we are looking at the decoupled architecture, by the way? So why there is a break when so many components of the. If you see the DevOps, you will see a lot of components. So the intention here is that if anything happens or any break fix you want to perform, then only that part should be affected. It should not affect the other part. So minimum downtime and maximum releases. That's the thumb rule. So delivery means again deploying and testing in multiple environment increase the quality. So deployment means you're deploying something. Delivery, you're delivering or deploying it to the multiple environment, maybe QA, maybe SI, maybe test, maybe UAT, maybe production, maybe pre-production also. So CI in CD system produces deployable artifacts. So here, the CD system produces deployable artifacts, including infrastructure and apps. Automatic release process consumes these artifacts to release new version and fixes to the existing system. The CD system, the continuous delivery system, it produces deployable artifacts. Means these artifacts and these artifacts are different. And this is there also CI also claiming that they are this artifact you can deploy for frequent deployment. Then what is the difference between that? The deployment and testing in multiple. So this CD process is diverse process. It's a very large process, and that is why we are talking CD as a different. We don't want to CI to perform everything. So CD is a different process. CD is a more diverse process. So let's see uh, the process of creating pipeline.
In this lecture, we'll be talking about Azure Pipelines. Azure Pipelines is Microsoft's cloud service offering for creating continuous integration. In this demo, we create our first Azure DevOps pipeline. Pipelines exist inside of a project, and projects are part of an organization. So we're going to create all three and connect our project with a code repository in GitHub. I've created a sample project you can use in GitHub, and we will discuss how you can use that in your own project in a few minutes. The first thing we need to do is open our browser to dev.azure.com. Now, if you do not have an Azure DevOps account, you can click on the Start Free button and create one. Or if you already have a GitHub account, you can click on the Start Free with GitHub button and use your GitHub credentials to sign up for a DevOps account. Once we have an Azure DevOps account and we've signed in, we can click on the Sign into Azure DevOps link, and it will take us to our organization page. You can have multiple organizations, and here's where we're going to create our new organization for our project. We will click the New Organization link here on the left-hand side. This will bring up the Getting Started with Azure DevOps dialog. At this point, Microsoft is indicating that if we continue past this point, we are accepting the terms of service for Azure DevOps. It also has a checkbox here if you want Microsoft to send you more information on Azure. So let's just go ahead and click the Continue button. You will be asked to provide a name for your organization. Keep in mind here that your name must be unique across all of Azure DevOps. I'm just going to use the one that they've provided for me here. This will be appended to dev.azure.com to form the access URL for your organization. We will also need to select the region where we'd like our organization to be hosted, so we will select our region and click Continue. This brings us to the main page for our organization. This page has a form for creating your first project on the right-hand side. We're just going to enter a project name for our new project. I just want to mention here again how private and public projects differ. If you choose a private project here, your code will be kept private, and no one will be able to see or contribute to your project unless you expressly give them permission by adding them to your organization and to the project user group. Make sure you exercise caution here. If you're not sure, choose private. You can always make it public later. So in my case, I have a sample code repository set as public so that I can share it with you. So I'm going to choose public. At this point, let's talk briefly about the sample project in GitHub. I've created a GitHub repo at the following URL. This is a basic .NET Core solution with a main project and a test project. It is a basic MVC project template, and the test project just has a couple of working unit tests. The goal with this project is not to show you how to write code, but it's just so that we have a code project for our pipeline to build. All you need to do at this point is go to the sample project at the URL I gave you and fork this project to your own GitHub account by clicking the fork button in the top right of the repository page. Okay, now we have our organization, our DevOps project, and our .NET Core solution. We can now go ahead and create our new pipeline. On our project page, let's click our pipeline menu option, and since we do not already have a pipeline yet in our project, a page is going to show up with a button on it for us to click to start configuring our first pipeline. It's going to ask us where our code is. This is where we select our repository type provider. There are a few options here like Bitbucket or Subversion. You can even select a generic Git repository provider if you have your own on-premise Git server. In our case, however, we're using GitHub, so let's just go ahead and click on the GitHub selection. Now it will ask us to provide our GitHub credentials and sign into GitHub. If you've forked the sample repository to your own account, you should see your repo in this list. Go ahead and click this repository. Although not shown here in the demo, this action will likely bring you to a repository authorization page for your code repo. And it's going to ask you to give Azure DevOps access to the selected repos. You can go ahead and grant access for the selected repos, and this will bring you back to the Azure DevOps page. And it will now ask us what type of pipeline we'd like to configure. As you can see, there are a ton of choices here. From .NET Core, Node.js, you can configure for Android, you can even use Xcode workspaces where you can build and test macOS applications. There's something here for everyone, and this list will continue to grow as Microsoft adds to its service offerings for Azure DevOps. Since our solution is a .NET Core project, we will choose the .NET Core for our pipeline. This will create an initial pipeline with a few initial tasks. These are tasks that are common to most .NET Core solutions. Now that our initial pipeline is created, what you're looking at here is YAML. It's the configuration language that Azure DevOps uses to configure the tasks that you will run whenever you commit changes in your software project to your GitHub repo. So we have our initial pipeline configured. Let's save and run it and see what happens. Clicking Save and Run, it will ask us if we want to commit our new YAML file to the master branch or if we'd like to create a new branch. This means that our pipeline build configuration is also stored in our code repository, and we are able to track changes to this file just like any other code file in our project. It will just take a minute or two to create the pipeline, so I'll speed up the time here and then we'll click into the jobs and see it as it runs. While our job is running, I will explain what is happening in our basic pipeline. First, it initializes the job. If we have a look at the job initialization task, we see that it's using a hosted agent. This is a build agent that is supplied by Microsoft to run our build tasks. In the module on build agents, we will look at what a build agent is in a bit more depth and have a look at the differences between private and hosted agents like this one. Then, the job is going to download all of our tasks to the agent machine. It's going to check out our code from our code repository. After that, it will install our NuGet package manager. Then it restores all of our NuGet packages, builds our project, and runs our unit tests. It then cleans up after itself by removing the repository credentials and tearing down the virtual machine that the build agent is using. This is an important step. We don't want our code out on a shared agent machine. Finally, if we have any reporting tools configured for our tests, it will generate the tests or code coverage reports and drop them into our artifacts section. Now, at the time of this recording, the initial unit testing task that's created on the default pipeline doesn't actually run your unit tests. Microsoft is in the process of making updates to Azure DevOps, and there's a known issue with this particular task. This task is trying to use an older version of MS Build, and unfortunately it cannot actually find the tests in your project. When we look at YAML in a later module, I'm going to show you how we're going to change this task to use the updated .NET Core command line build tools to run our unit tests. Okay, there you have it. We've built our first Azure DevOps pipeline. Now we have it. What can we do with it? Well, you're in luck. I'm going to show you some additional things we can do with it in the next few modules.
Okay, guys, this is just a
In this demo,
introduction to the Azure DevOps. So in this demo, basically what we have learned is how to create the organization, how to create the projects, and then how to create the pipeline. Maybe the .NET pipeline, and understand and go through those YAML files. We'll see the how we create the YAML file. There is a separate classes for the YAML pipeline, how to create the YAML pipeline. Don't worry about that, but start your journey. And I would request you to go through these videos and try to deploy your knowledge. That's something I would, and we are trying our level best to get the projects for you guys so that you don't have to attend the interview first and then that fancy tough interviews, and by the time you attend the interview and you prepare the interview, it takes 6 months to 1 year sometimes. But even though many people are still not able to crack the interview, so how we can get the experience? So every time if it is an interview through interview, with the process, then it will we'll log in, and that is not going to work. So here you will get the direct access to this Azure DevOps. Not only Azure DevOps, it's AWS DevOps, Azure Cloud, AWS Cloud, and other such also. So for all the details, please contact us, and happy learning, guys.